And welcome, everybody. It is November 12th. Welcome to Portal to the Infinite, your guide to the ascension of humanity. And my name's Brian, and listen, I apologize for my few listeners. I know you're just a core little group, and I appreciate that, because I always say that even if what I teach and share can impact a handful of people, that could have rippling effects that could reach tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people, especially through these times, because what amazing times we are in. Amazing times, folks. So again, after last week's election, I had stayed up till about 3 a.m. I wasn't going to go to bed until I wanted to hear the president-elect speak. And it reminded me very much of the same thing happened in 2016. We were shocked at the outcome, and I stayed up late, and it looked like the same stage, same setup. The only difference was this time Barron Trump is 6'9", or is he taller than that? I don't know. He's a very tall young man. Boy, does he stand out. So the whole week after that just got a little chaotic. I had business and things to tend to, and I was trying to digest everything from a 30,000-foot view, so to speak. And listen, when I say that this show is here to help you, guide you through the ascension of humanity, let me ask you this. Now, I don't know whom the listeners are supportive of. I don't know whom you voted for. I don't engage in the gloating that you see going on, because I feel very bad for those who are having these meltdowns that they're posting to social media. I mean, that's obviously not indicative of everybody who voted for Kamala Harris. We know that. It's a small portion of people who unfortunately get seen by millions of people by their own doing, because they insist on uploading these fits of rage. And my heart goes out to them, because number one, that's a form of mental illness. And we've really not had the conversation in this country regarding mental illness. Instead, I feel as if the political culture that has been here has really supported whatever these people believe or want to be, for political purposes, not to help them, because a lot of these people need counseling. Remember, so many of these people, not all, but many of them were abused when they were children, and that totally scars them. And so my heart goes out to them. I hope, my prayer and my intention is that they will see, after some time, that everything that they were told was going to be done to them by the dishonest media is never going to happen. It didn't happen when Donald Trump was president the last time. It's not going to happen this time. His policies always help everyone. He doesn't care about your sexuality. He doesn't care about the color of your skin. They never viewed him that way until he ran for president. And all of a sudden, because he was not an establishment guy, he's not supposed to just walk in and run for president. You're supposed to wait your turn, be selected by the elite, the globalists. And because he wasn't one of them and he couldn't be controlled. Because Donald Trump, when he's president, he's running the presidency. He's running the country. So many other presidents, especially on the Democratic side, become representatives of an interest, representatives of the interests that put them there. So it's more of a bureaucracy that runs, and the president then kind of just becomes the face of that bureaucracy, or the face of the presidency, but not the actual person running the country. And we have to go way back to think about someone who actually ran the country, and I would say Ronald Reagan, especially in his first term. We know that in his second term he was aging, but in his first term he was running the show. Before that, Richard Nixon, and before that, John F. Kennedy. Now, this is not a political show. I'm only going to have this conversation here today because, but this is important in the sense where, have you felt like we changed timelines since last Tuesday's election? Were you surprised by the election results? And if so, why? Where do you get your news? And if we have crossed timelines, and of course it's something that we are actually always changing timelines. Remember, we are constantly shifting into other versions of reality, but it is imperceptible to us. It's like that movie I explain all the time, showing a movie on, on a screen. It's traditional movies were 21 frames per second. That's on film. Of course, video is all ones and zeros. And you could lay that roll of film out on a table, and you could see the beginning, you could see the middle, you could see the end, and you could decide to shine light onto one frame just to take a peek at what's going on in that frame. But when you play the movie, those frames move so quickly that it creates the illusion that it is real, that it is actually something happening, but yet it's frame by frame in and of itself. And that's how reality is constructed, albeit on a far, far, far greater level. I mean, we are shifting probably billions of times per second. And that's why quantum physics is helping us to understand that. But the reason I say I feel we've shifted timelines is because there's amazing what has happened just in the last 5 days. Hamas has called out saying that they want peace. The Taliban is reaching out saying that they want peace. China is reaching out, anxious to work with President Trump. Russia and Ukraine want to stop the war. Now, one of the reasons why is the Ukraine are going to agree to that is because there's not going to be any more billions of dollars going to their war. And wait till we find out where that money actually went. So many amazing things. The stock market went up. Bitcoin, record highs, soaring ahead. So why is that? Because people feel differently. Everybody feels confident. People feel that, wow, we can have a sense of normalcy here now, and we can have policies that impact and positively impact every single American, especially the working class, regardless of their skin color, religion, culture, sexuality. None of that matters. None of that matters. There are certain things that I think matter to a great many people, but they require children. In other words, reasonable people don't think that young children should be steered or sexualized or pushed in a specific direction and the parents not be told. No reasonable person thinks that that's a good idea. So, but other than that, everything else, it will just take some time, and when the policies kick into effect, and I believe it's going to happen faster than anybody could even count, it's going to happen lightning speed because of the fact that it's already happening. And folks, he's only been in there, not even as president-elect, for now, today, so 6 days today. Absolutely incredible. So I feel it in my spirit that we are now on a different timeline, and this is a timeline of peace. Remember a couple of months back, we were all being very fearful about World War III because our world leaders were trying to steer us in that direction, antagonizing Russia the way that they have, lying about Russia's interests, basically painting everybody else to be the bad guy. Now, the only place you would hear this and believe this if that were the case would be as if you were watching traditional mainstream media. And mainstream media is the mouthpiece for this global technocratic, bureaucratic alliance, so to speak. The billionaires, the international corporations, the big donors. Because remember, the big money has been going for the last at least 20 years toward the Democrats. The Democrats were always the party of the working class, but they've given that up. But they've tried to keep that illusion going to keep their base voting for them. And they do that by having control over the mainstream media. But they went overboard. They got ridiculous at some of the things they were saying. The remarks, the name calling. You can't call over half the country a certain name. And I don't use these names on YouTube because I don't really need to get red flags because it's the algorithms pick them up, even though I have barely anybody listening. We don't need to do that. But you just can't get away with that. You can't say, vote for me because I'm not this guy. Vote for me because we're going to have joy. People want policies. People couldn't afford their groceries. They couldn't afford their gas. They can't keep having over close to 60% of their paychecks being eaten up with income taxes. And by the way, that's another thing that's going to change hugely when when you hear it said that we are entering a new golden age. There's more to that than meets the eye, and I will get into that on a future show. I'll give you my opinions as to what I think is going on, purely based upon what Donald Trump has been saying, because I pay very close attention to what he says, because despite the fact that everybody is told by mainstream media that he's He's this, he's that, and he's this. What he says always, for some reason, gets to be proven true. It may not happen immediately, but it happens eventually where he is proven true. And, of course, the media will never circle back to correct themselves or say, oh, look, he was right about that. Never going to happen. And what really began to awaken me, and remember, I come from a political background. I held political office. I've been retired from that pretty much since 2014. But when I first saw in 2016 or 15, when he put his hat into the race to run, and I didn't take him seriously. I thought he was going to do it as part of a new reality show. I didn't take it seriously at all. It wasn't until after the first and second Republican debates that I started to realize what was really going on, that he tapped into an anger because the middle class was being forgotten about, and they were losing their wealth. It was becoming increasingly impossible for them to get ahead, afford a home, achieve the American dream. And he tapped into that. And the moment that happened and the media realized that this was a real thing, that is when they began to completely not only take him out of context and lie, but just to completely destroy him. I remember one of the first lies, because I had watched his whole speech when he was discussing, after he had come down the escalator, and he talked about Mexico. And the media and everybody on the left told us that he feels, he's calling Mexicans murderers, rapists, and robbers. That is not what he said. You see, the problem with open borders, where you're just letting anybody and everybody come over, is that the countries in Central America, Mexico, and all the others, and South America included, if they know that America's doors are wide open, just taking anybody, then what happens is they empty their prisons and their mental institutions, and they just send these people. That's why you saw those caravans were organized, completely organized, and nobody ever could walk the 3,000 or 1,000 miles over the border. That those were just for optics, and so the cameras can take pictures, and you see what looks like families coming for the American dream, which is fine. Nobody's against that, but you must come in legally, because again, what happens is all of the criminals and those who are insane and the gang members will all just be sent over the border. That's what he was talking about. And now that was obvious to anybody who was listening to him. But the derangement of hatred against him was something that was unbelievable, because people were listening to mainstream media, reading mainstream media publications, being told XYZ about him and believing it, absolutely believing that was the case, that this man is this, that, and the other thing. And again, I'm not going to use those words. You all know these words. So I feel like a spell has been broken, and it's just now a matter of time before the rest of these poor, unfortunate people who really believe that they're going to be rounded up, that they're losing their rights, that they're going to be, that all sorts of people are going to be deported. No, it's only going to be, he's going to start off with the criminal illegals, and then after that, I don't know how this is all going to fly. I'm sure good, well-meaning people who would like to become citizens of the United States will be given that opportunity, but the criminals will be sent away, and the cartel members as well, which have also now operating in certain parts of our country. So once those poor people awaken to the fact that they were lied to, it's going to take some time. Some will awaken sooner than others. We must be there to help and embrace these people, to let them know that they are loved, that no matter what, they are loved, because I think that's the problem. A lot of them don't feel love for themselves, number one, much less love from others, knowing that they are automatically loved because they are all elements of God, the Creator. They are each indestructible, infinite souls. Everybody is. Everybody's loved. Everybody's supported. So let's come together and be ready to help these people awaken, because we are awakening. This is all part of the awakening process. Everybody sees it now. Everything's corrupt. Every institution's corrupt. Politics, finance, banking, education, big pharma, you name it. It's all corrupt, and it's all corrupted globally. Especially when I say globally, I mean within Europe, the United States, and Canada. So it's going to be an amazing time. I feel it, folks. It's just things are going to start happening so fast. Opportunities are going to open up. So just allow yourself to be guided by your higher self by following your passion. If you feel tugged in a specific direction, follow that. Go in that direction. That's your higher self telling you this is where you need to be. This is where you need to go to fulfill and become that which you came here to do. So it's going to be great, folks. And again, sorry I wasn't on last week. I will be getting progressively busier with elements of business, but I always want to take the time to do these few little podcasts, because even if just a few of you can be helped or taught or inspired by my experiences and my words, then I feel very fulfilled and very grateful for that. So that's that, folks. Revel in this new energy that is abounding across this planet. The energy is going to continue to grow and grow and grow and get higher. The frequency, the vibration of this planet is going to get higher. As a result, we're going to get getting higher frequency vibrations. We are ascending. We are becoming more spiritual. We are ascending to a version of ourselves that are going to be absolutely amazed, because we are going to become the fullness of who and what we are as eternal souls, recognizing the infinite creative abilities and powers that we each possess inherent within us as a spark of the Creator. All right, folks, again, this is Brian thanking you, wishing you a wonderful ascension. To see you here next time. Take care, folks.